I met my coworker on the beach 3 months after I buried my wife. The company retreat was supposed to be about team building, corporate words that meant nothing when you were standing on cold sand at dawn, trying to remember how to breathe. Cape May in October strips away pretense. The tourists are gone. What remains is wind, gray water, and emptiness. She was already there. Sloane Vance stood at the waterline in a black bikini. Not seduction, a declaration. Her blonde hair moved in the wind, uncontrolled in a way she never allowed at the office. No blazer, no armor, just skin and defiance. I wasn't looking at her body. I was looking at the way she held herself, shoulders back, chin raised, feet planted in wet sand like she was daring the Atlantic to try her. Then she turned, slow, deliberate. Her eyes found mine across 20 feet of empty beach. "Eyes are up here, Thorne," her voice carried over the wind, testing. I should have looked away immediately, should have apologized, but I didn't. "You wore that bikini on purpose," I said. Flat, observational, not flirtatious, just fact. For 3 seconds, neither of us moved. Sloane's expression didn't change, but something in her posture did. The rigidity in her shoulders softened by a fraction. "What did you say?" "You wore that bikini on purpose. You wanted people to look, so they'd look away first, so you'd know who failed the test." Her lips parted. Recognition. Then she laughed, one breath of sound that dissolved into the wind. "Congratulations, Thorne. You passed." She turned back toward the water, dismissing me, but the dismissal felt like permission to leave without shame. I walked away. Not because she told me to, because she'd given me something I hadn't asked for, acknowledgement that I'd seen her correctly. 4 hours later, the beach felt like a hallucination. Jersey City swallowed us back into glass towers and fluorescent lights. The office on the 14th floor hummed with ringing phones, keyboard clicks, and the low murmur of traders. Sloane walked past my desk at 9:47 a.m., her heels sharp against concrete. Navy blazer, white blouse, hair pulled back tight. The woman from the beach had evaporated. She didn't look at me, but Mrs. Gable noticed. Louisa Gable had been the office manager for 32 years. She knew every secret. She watched people the way meteorologists watch storms. She refilled my coffee, setting the mug down with deliberate care. "You came in early today." "Couldn't sleep." Neither could she. She walked away. I looked across the floor toward Sloane's desk. She was already deep in spreadsheets, but her jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle flexing from 30 feet away. 2 days later, at 6:23 a.m., I walked into the break room to find Sloane standing at the coffee maker. "It's broken," she said, without looking up. "Third time in a month. Mrs. Gable says they're ordering a new one." She's been saying that since July. Sloane finally looked at me. Her eyes were shadowed. "There's a place 2 blocks down, opens at 6. "I know the place." "Then why are you here?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Leaving the building feels like losing." I understood that. "I'm going anyway. You're welcome to walk with me." I didn't wait for her answer. I turned toward the elevators. Behind me, I heard her heels click against the floor. Once, twice, then faster. Before we dive deeper into this story, I need your help. We're on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, and every single subscription gets us closer to that goal. If you enjoy stories about complicated love, about people who choose each other despite the odds, please hit that subscribe button. And I'd love to know, where are you listening from? Drop a comment and tell me your city or country. Building this community means everything, and knowing where you all are from makes it even special. The coffee shop became a routine neither of us acknowledged. 6:15 a.m., Monday through Friday. Sometimes earlier, never on weekends. We didn't talk much. Sloane ordered black coffee, 2 sugars. I ordered dark roast, no cream. Most mornings, we walked back in silence, not uncomfortable,
the kind that exists between people who understand that words aren't always honest. But one morning, 3 weeks in, Sloane broke pattern. "How long has it been?" We were standing at Montgomery and Green, waiting for the light. "Since what?" "Since you buried your wife." Most people didn't ask directly. They danced around it with soft euphemisms. 5 months, pancreatic cancer, diagnosed in March, gone by June. Sloane nodded slowly. She didn't offer condolences, didn't reach out, didn't do any of the performative gestures people use to fill space. She just stood there, holding her coffee. "I'm not going to tell you it gets easier," she said finally. "Good, but it does get different." The light changed. We crossed. That was the entire conversation, but it mattered more than 1,000 sympathy cards. 2 weeks later, I met Maya. I'd taken a Saturday to drive to Asbury Park, one of Caroline's favorite places. I wasn't ready, but grief isn't linear. I was walking near the arcade when I heard a child's voice. "Excuse me, mister." A little girl stood there, maybe 7, with blonde braids and a sundress covered in starfish. She held something cupped in both hands. "I found this," she said, opening her palms. A sand dollar, bleached white with a star pattern. One edge was chipped. "It's broken," she said, disappointed. "Not broken, it survived." She looked confused. I pointed to the chip. "That's called a survivor scar. It means this sand dollar got hit by something hard and didn't shatter. It's still here." Her eyes widened. "So broken means it made it out?" "Sometimes." She grinned, closing her hands around it like it had become valuable. "Maya!" I looked up. Sloane was walking toward us, grocery bags in both hands, her expression caught between panic and relief. She wasn't wearing office clothes. Jeans, a sweater, hair down, and terrified. "I told you to stay close," Sloane said, tight. "I did. I just found a shell and this man said—" "I know what he said." Sloane's eyes met mine. Her whole body had gone rigid. But then Maya held up the sand dollar. "Look, Mom, it's a survivor." Sloane's expression cracked just for a second, just enough for me to see the exhaustion underneath. "That's really special, sweetheart," Sloane said quietly. Maya ran ahead. Sloane started to follow, then paused. "Elias." First time she'd used my first name. "You didn't have to do that." "Do what?" "Make her feel like broken things are worth keeping." She walked away before I could tell her I wasn't talking about the sand dollar. After that, the morning coffee runs changed. Sloane started talking more. Small things. Maya's teacher, the price of groceries, the heating in her apartment that hadn't worked in 3 days. I listened, didn't offer solutions, just gave her space to speak. And slowly, the armor started coming off. A smile that lasted longer. A joke that wasn't defensive. A moment where she let silence exist. One morning in early December, we were walking back when she stopped. "Why don't you ever ask me about Maya's father?" I turned to face her. Snowflakes had just started falling. "Because if you wanted me to know, you'd tell me." She stared at me for a long time, then nodded. "His name is Arthur. We're divorced. He's not a bad man, but he's not a safe man either. There's a difference." "Yes." She didn't elaborate. I didn't push. We walked the rest of the way in silence, but it felt different, warmer. That night I couldn't sleep, not because of grief, because for the first time in 5 months, I'd felt something other than loss. I'd felt present.
Arthur came to the office on a Tuesday. I didn't know who he was at first, just another man in an expensive suit. Tall, polished, the kind of handsome that came from personal trainers. His smile was perfect. His presence was suffocating. He stopped at Sloane's desk. "Sloane Hartley," he said, loud enough for half the floor to hear. "You're looking well." She went pale. "It's Vance now, you know that." "Old habits," he laughed. "Can we talk? Privately?" "I'm working." "It'll just take a minute." It wasn't a request. Sloane stood, her movements mechanical. She led him toward the conference room. I watched through the glass walls. Arthur didn't yell, didn't gesture aggressively. He just stood there, speaking in low tones while Sloane's face grew smaller, like she was being erased in real time. Mrs. Gable appeared beside my desk. That's the ex-husband, I figured. He comes by every few months, always unannounced, always when she's alone. 5 minutes later, Arthur left. Sloane returned to her desk, opened her laptop, went back to work like nothing happened, but her hands were shaking. After that, everything changed. Sloane stopped meeting me for coffee. She came in later, left earlier, avoided eye contact. When I tried to ask if she was okay, she gave me polite, hollow answers. The warmth evaporated. The armor was back. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I stayed consistent. Same desk, same arrival time, same quiet presence. I didn't chase, didn't push. I just remained exactly who I'd been. 3 weeks passed. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Can we talk? Not at the office. I knew it was Sloane. When? Tonight, 7 p.m., Asbury Park Boardwalk. I'll be there. She was already waiting. Same spot where I'd met Maya, same wind, same waves. But this time, Sloane looked different. No armor, just jeans, boots, and a coat wrapped tight. Thanks for coming. Of course. We started walking. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then Sloane stopped at the railing overlooking the beach. Arthur wants custody, she said. The words dropped like stones. On what grounds? He says I'm unstable, that my work schedule makes me unfit, that Maya would be better off in a stable two-parent household. Her voice was flat. He's dating someone new, a kindergarten teacher. She volunteers at church. She bakes cookies. And you? I'm the woman who wears red bikinis and works 60-hour weeks. That's not what makes someone a bad mother. Tell that to a family court judge. She gripped the railing so hard her knuckles went white. I thought leaving him meant I was safe, that Maya was safe, but he's still there, still watching, still finding ways to remind me I'll never be free. I wanted to promise it would be okay, but Caroline's death taught me the world doesn't work that way. What do you need? Sloane turned to look at me. Her eyes were red, but no tears had fallen. I need to know that someone sees me, not the version Arthur tells people, not the version I pretend to be at work, just me. I see you, Sloane. Do you? Yes. She searched my face for proof I was lying, but she didn't find it. Why haven't you tried to kiss me? She asked. The question caught me off guard. Because you haven't asked me to. That's not how this usually works. I know. She laughed, bitter. Every man I've ever known has taken what he wanted, but you, she trailed off. I don't deserve access to you. No one does. You decide who gets close, and if that's never me, that's okay. For a moment, I thought she might cry. Instead, she reached out and took my hand. Cold, trembling, but not letting go. Thank you, she whispered. The next morning, everything fell apart. Maya walked into the office. Saturday. The building was mostly empty. She shouldn't have been there. Maya? I stood. What's wrong? She's in the car. She's crying and won't stop. I grabbed my jacket. Show me. We ran to the parking garage. Sloane's car was in the far corner. She was sitting in the driver's seat, forehead pressed against the steering wheel, shoulders shaking. I knocked on the window. She looked up. When she saw me, something broke completely. She unlocked the door. I crouched beside the car. What happened? She filed the petition this morning. Emergency custody hearing. Next Friday. You're not unstable. Tell that to the therapist he hired to testify against me. She pressed her hands to her face. I can't lose her, Elias. He won't. You don't know that. No, but I know you, and I know Maya, and I know that no judge is going to look at you and think you're anything other than a mother who would burn the world down to keep her daughter safe.
Sloane pulled me into a hug, desperate, terrified, raw. I held her while she cried. Maya stood beside us, clutching her sand dollar. "Mom," she said quietly. "Yeah, baby? Why does Dad talk to you like you're wrong all the time?" The question landed like a gunshot. Sloane froze. Then she looked at her daughter, really looked, and something shifted. "Because he's scared, Maya." "Of what?" "Of the fact that I'm not scared of him anymore. If you're still with me, I need to ask something. This story is just getting started, and the most intense moments are still ahead, but I can only keep telling it if you're here. Please, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know this story matters to you."
I didn't see Sloane for 3 days. She took personal leave, stopped answering texts, went dark. But I didn't chase. I showed up. Same desk, same time, same coffee order waiting at 6:15 a.m. even though she wasn't there. Mrs. Gable noticed. On the third morning, she sat across from me. "You're still buying her coffee." "She'll come back eventually." "You sound sure." "I'm not, but hope doesn't require certainty." Mrs. Gable studied me. "You know what I've noticed about you, Elias? You don't look at her like she owes you anything." I didn't know how to respond. Most men look at women like they're debts waiting to be collected. Time, attention, affection, they keep score. But you just show up. That's basic human decency. Exactly, which makes it rare. Sloane returned on Thursday. No warning, just walked in at 8:47 a.m. like she'd never left. She looked thinner, exhausted, but she was there. I didn't say anything, didn't ask if she was okay. An hour later, my phone buzzed. "Thank you for the coffee, even the ones I didn't drink." I looked up. Sloane was watching me from across the floor. She didn't smile, just nodded once, and I nodded back. That night, she asked me to meet her, same boardwalk. This time, Maya wasn't there. "She's with my sister. I needed to talk to you alone." We walked in silence. December wind cut through everything. Finally, Sloane stopped at the same railing. "The hearing is tomorrow." "I know." "Arthur's lawyer called. He's offering a deal." My stomach dropped. "What kind?" "Joint custody, 50-50, but only if I agree to supervised visitation for 6 months and mandatory therapy for my emotional instability." "That's bullshit." "I know. So tell him no." "I can't." She turned to face me, and I saw defeat. If I fight this and lose, I lose everything. Arthur has money, lawyers, character witnesses, and I have a job and a daughter who loves me and a history of staying in an abusive marriage because I was too scared to leave. That's not weakness, that's survival. The court won't see it that way. Then make them see it differently. How? How do I stand in front of a judge and explain that I spent 7 years with a man who never hit me but made me feel like I deserved to be hit? How do I prove emotional abuse when there are no bruises? I didn't have an answer. She was right. "I'm going to take the deal. It's the only way." "Sloane, I need you to understand something, Elias. No one has ever made me feel safe. Not once in my entire life." She took a shaking breath. "But you did." The words hung between us. "You made me feel like I didn't have to be anything other than exactly who I am. You didn't try to fix me or save me. You just saw me. And you stayed." I felt something crack open in my chest. "I'm terrified. I'm terrified if I fight Arthur and lose, Maya will think I didn't try hard enough. And I'm terrified if I take this deal, she'll think I gave up." "So don't do either." "What?" "Don't fight him the way he expects. Arthur wins when he controls the narrative, when he makes you defend yourself against accusations designed to be indefensible. So stop defending." "What are you talking about?" "Tell the truth. Not the version that makes you look strong. Tell the version that's real, where you stayed because you were scared, where you wore red bikinis like armor, where you work 60-hour weeks because providing for Maya is the one thing you know you're good at." Sloane stared at me. "Judges are people, and people respond to honesty, not perfection." She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me. This time, the embrace wasn't desperate. It was grateful. "Thank you for seeing me. Always."
We stood in the cold, holding each other like two people who'd finally figured out that safety wasn't about walls. The hearing happened on Friday. I wasn't allowed inside, but I waited in the hallway with Sloane's sister and Mrs. Gable. 3 hours passed. Then the doors opened. Sloane walked first. Her face was unreadable. Behind her, Arthur followed with his lawyer. Arthur's expression was tight, controlled, but I could see the fury underneath. He'd lost. Sloane saw me and stopped. Then she smiled. A real smile. I won. I know. Full custody. Arthur gets supervised visitation once a month and he has to attend therapy. She laughed, pure relief. I told the truth, all of it, and the judge believed me. I pulled her into a hug. I'm proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. Pulled back. Maybe, but I didn't have to, and that's the difference. That night, we went back to Asbury Park. Just the two of us. Can I ask you something? Sloane asked. Always. Why did you help me? I thought about that. Because you reminded me that broken doesn't mean finished, and I needed that reminder. She took my hand. Not romantic, not desperate, just steady. I don't know what happens next. Neither do I. Does that scare you? Terrified, but I'm here anyway. She smiled. Then I'll stay exactly who I've been. And in that moment, I realized something. I wasn't in love with Sloane Vance. Not yet. But I was falling towards something that felt bigger than love. Something that felt like home.
6 months later, I returned to Cape May. Not for a retreat, not to run from grief, just because it was May and the beach was warm, and I'd learned that moving forward didn't mean forgetting. Sloane and Maya came with me. We rented a small cottage 3 blocks from the shore. Nothing fancy, just a place with a porch and enough space for Maya to spread her shell collection across the kitchen table. This one's a scallop, and this one's a jingle shell, Maya explained with scientific precision. Sloane laughed. That's very specific, sweetheart. It's science, Mom. I watched them from the porch and felt something settle in my chest. Peace. Not the absence of grief. Grief was still there, woven into who I was. Caroline would always be part of me. But I'd learned that love doesn't require exclusivity from the dead. That afternoon, we walked to the beach. Same stretch of sand where I'd first seen Sloane, same wind, same waves, but everything was different. Maya ran ahead hunting for sand dollars. Sloane walked beside me, close enough that our shoulders brushed. Do you ever think about that first morning? She asked. Every day. Do you regret it? No. Do you regret testing me? No, but I'm glad you passed. We stopped at the waterline. Arthur's getting remarried, Sloane said. I heard. He invited Maya to the wedding. What did she say? She said she'd go if I thought it was okay. Sloane shook her head. 7 years old and already managing everyone's emotions. She learned that from you. I know, she sighed. I told her she could go if she wanted, but that she didn't have to, that her feelings mattered more than anyone's expectations. What did she choose? She said she'd think about it. Then she asked if you'd teach her how to skip rocks. My chest tightened. You're good with her. You don't try to replace anyone. You just show up. Seems to be my specialty. She laughed, then turned to face me. I need to tell you something. I'm falling in love with you. The words landed softly. I know it's complicated. I know we're both figuring out who we are. I know Maya comes first, and your grief doesn't disappear. I know all of that. But I'm tired of being afraid. Her voice was steady. I spent 34 years being afraid, and I'm done. She took my hand. You make me feel safe, Elias, not because you fight my battles, but because you trust me to fight them myself, and then you're still there. I looked at this woman who'd tested me on a beach, who'd let me see her armor and her scars. I'm falling in love with you too. Her eyes widened. Yeah? Yeah.
even though I'm a mess? You're not a mess. You're a person, and I like persons. She smiled, real and unguarded. So what happens now? I don't know, but I'd like to find out together. No promises? No promises. Just showing up. I can work with that. We kissed. Not desperately, not urgently, just softly. Maya found us minutes later, holding a perfectly intact sand dollar above her head. Look, no survivor scars. This one's perfect. Sloane crouched beside her. That's amazing. Are you going to keep it? Maya thought, then shook her head. I'm going to throw it back. Why? Because perfect things don't need to be kept safe. They can just be. She ran back and tossed it into the waves. Sloane slipped her hand into mine. She's smarter than both of us. Yeah, she really is. We watched Maya dance along the shoreline, her laughter carrying over the wind, and I realized something. Some people don't fall in love. They finally stop being afraid. We stood there until the sun started to set, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking backwards. I was just here, present, safe, home.